The panic did not begin with an explosion or a scream. It began with silence. The Galactic Historical Continuum, an archive older than most star systems, registered a gap where data should have been. Entire centuries of recorded conflict simply stopped, not faded, not corrupted, but ended. At first, the archivists assumed a technical failure, cosmic radiation, a localized data collapse, something mundane and explainable. But the deeper they searched, the worse it became. Every record related to a specific war vanished at the same temporal point. Battle reports ended mid-sentence, fleet telemetry froze during active maneuvers, diplomatic channels cut out without warning. Even personal logs, the kind soldiers kept in secret memory cores, stopped recording in perfect unison. Historians across the Council worlds gathered in emergency conclave. Their species varied, but their fear identical. Wars always left survivors. Refugees, deserters, wreckage, debris fields, radiation scars, oral histories, myths, something always remained. This war left nothing. They named it the null conflict, not because nothing happened, but because nothing endured. No veterans returned, no planets reported occupation, no enemy claimed victory. Even the automated probes, sent centuries later, found systems eerily intact, as if warships had passed through without disturbing dust. Professor Elian Vore, lead historian of interstellar warfare, voiced the fear none of them wanted to name. "You do not erase a war by winning it," he said, his voice shaking. "You erase it by ensuring no one remains to remember." The room fell quiet, because everyone understood the implication. A war with no survivors meant total annihilation, not just of armies, but of witnesses. Someone had fought with the intention of leaving no story behind. As they traced the fragments backward, a single constant emerged. Every vanished record referenced the same opponent. A young, aggressive species operating at the fringe of Council space at the time. Humans. The name appeared rarely, almost reluctantly, buried in footnotes and dismissed intelligence briefings. At the time, humans were considered volatile but technologically inferior. No one had expected them to be capable of large-scale interstellar war. Yet the dates aligned too cleanly to ignore. The null conflict coincided with humanity's first disappearance from galactic politics. One century they were requesting trade access, the next they were gone. No treaties, no surrender, no extinction notice, just absence. That absence terrified the historians more than any recorded atrocity. Because history was supposed to remember everything. And something had made history blink. As the investigation deepened, panic spread beyond academic circles and into political chambers. The Council demanded answers, but the historians had none that felt safe to speak aloud. Fragments emerged in places no one had thought to look. Astronomical anomalies, stars with unnatural mass distributions, asteroid belts composed of fused alloy instead of stone. Entire moons with magnetized crusts that suggested planetary-scale weapons testing. These were not battlefields. They were clean rooms. The realization came slowly and then all at once. The war had not been fought to conquer territory. It had been fought to remove a threat. Recovered human engineering schematics hinted at doctrines the Council found horrifying. Human fleets did not seek decisive battles. They sought irreversible outcomes. Their weapons favored system-wide effects, gravity destabilizers, stellar ignition cascades, nanotechnological consumption fields that dismantled matter down to isotopes. Most chilling of all was the emphasis on aftermath denial. Human strategy documents referenced something called terminal silence protocols. The objective was not victory. The objective was historical closure. If an enemy could never tell the story, then retaliation became impossible. No memory meant no revenge. No myth meant no warning. The historians realized the null conflict was not a single war. It was a campaign, a methodical erasure of multiple hostile civilizations who had, according to scattered evidence, attempted preemptive strikes against early human expansion. The humans had responded once, and only once. What followed was not genocide in the traditional sense. There were no camps, no prolonged occupations, no cultural suppression. There was only disappearance. Systems went dark simultaneously, not from destruction, but from synchronization. Human weapons did not destroy stars. They altered them just enough to erase every trace of industrial activity. Even wreckage was consumed, broken down, scattered into cosmic noise indistinguishable from natural phenomena. The war did not lave ruins. It left plausible deniability. One junior historian asked the question that froze the room. If they were capable of this then, she said, what are they capable of now? No one answered. Because the more they learned, the clearer it became that humanity had not vanished after the war. They had withdrawn. Silently, deliberately. The council had mistaken absence for weakness. In reality, it had been restraint. The final horror came when the historians understood why no survivors had been allowed. It was not cruelty. It was mathematics. Human war models treated memory as a vector. A survivor was not just a living being. A survivor was a data carrier. Even one witness could seed legends. Legends could inspire fear. Fear could escalate into future conflict. Human doctrine sought permanent resolution. Not peace treaties that expired. Not deterrence that invited testing. Finality. Recovered fragments of human philosophy appeared alongside military logs. Short phrases repeated across centuries of documents. If the war ends, end it everywhere. History is a battlefield. Survival is permission to return. The null conflict was not about domination. It was about closing a chapter so thoroughly that the book could never be reopened. This reframed everything the historians thought they knew about warfare. Most species fought to impose will. Humans fought to remove possibility. That was why no one survived. Survivors meant uncertainty. The panic escalated into existential dread. Because the historians realized something worse. Humanity had not erased all wars. Only the ones that threatened their long-term existence. The implication was terrifyingly simple. Humanity did not wage total war often. But when they did, they made sure it would never need repeating. One historian summarized it in a single trembling sentence. They do not punish enemies, he said, they delete them. Across the council worlds, emergency broadcasts urged caution. Old military plans involving human space were quietly archived. Aggressive doctrines were rewritten overnight. No one wanted to give humans a reason to remember how to fight that way again. The final report was sealed under maximum classification. Even its title was considered dangerous. Historians argued that naming the war risked acknowledging it too clearly. In the end, they left most of it blank. A deliberate void in the official record. The irony was not lost on them. They had become what they feared. Guardians of a silence. The conclusion was unanimous and chilling. The null conflict ended because humanity won. Not by conquest, but by ensuring no one else could claim the war had ever happened. The Council issued a final directive to all member species. Avoid provocation. Avoid escalation. And above all, avoid wars that humans might consider existential. Because if humanity ever decided a war must have no survivors again, history itself might not survive to tell the tale. And somewhere, beyond the edge of recorded space, humanity continued to exist quietly, content with a universe that had learned, without remembering why, that some wars were never meant to be survived.